You wake to the roar of dragons. You have heard it every morning of your life, and every morning your ears learn the same lesson before your eyes are even open. There is a roar that greets the dawn, and there is a roar that means something below the ground has gone wrong. This morning, it is the second kind. Somewhere beneath your feet, past stone too hot to touch, a slave has tried to run. And the family you were born into is about to make an example. The whole peninsula will smell by midday. You are of House Moraenar. To be born Morinar is not a gift. It is a debt, and it is not always paid in your own blood. Every child of the Freehold learns one truth so young they forget they ever learned it. The family that dug the deepest mines will be the first the earth remembers. You don't yet understand what that means. In 5 years you will. By the end of this, you'll know what it actually felt like to wake up a dragonlord. Not the silver hair and the violet eyes the songs remember, but the magic, the price it was paid in, and the single thing 40 families looked at every day and refused to call by its name. Start with what no one in your house will say aloud. The dragons your family worships, the great white colossi, whose bones hang mounted in your father's hall, the pale titans your name was built on, are dead. They have been dead for thousands of years. Your entire bloodline's pride rests on a breed of dragon that already died once. And no Moraenar has ever asked the obvious question, why? You rise in the dark, because in the siege quarter there is no other kind of mourning. Your hall is cut from black stone the 14 flames vomited up before men had names, and it never truly cools. The walls sweat. The lamps burn a low, even blue, fed on the same oils that keep the dragon's hide supple. The air tastes of brimstone and old smoke, and you have breathed it so long you would not know clean air if it killed you. Above the high table, lit by a single hanging lamp, hangs the skull of Aelithrax, last of the white colossi, dead so long that your family measures every dragon since as a fraction of what she was. Her jaw alone is longer than you are tall. You were taught to bow to it before you could walk. You bow to it now. Your father is already in the hall. Lord Valyria Moraenar does not sleep the way other men sleep. He treats rest as a tax he resents paying. He does not look at you when you enter. He looks at the skull.
They named us for the war breakers,
He says.
Baeleris was given the sea. Raymion was given the forges. We were given the cities. And the cities were given to us so that we might end them.
He turns at last.
There was screaming below before dawn. You heard it.
You did.
Good. A Morinar who can sleep through a slave breaking is no use to me.
He studies you the way he studies a fault line in stone.
You are 14. You have not bonded. By your age, I had already named my dragon. Do you understand what it means in this house to be a Moraenar with no dragon?
You think you do,
You understand nothing yet.
he says.
Come, I will show you what we are before I show you what we ride.
And the first thing he chooses to show you is not the sky. It is the dark beneath it. He takes you down into the deep mines beneath the 14 flames. The living mountains your kind called the children's cradle, because the Valyrians believed dragons were born of the volcanoes themselves. Most mines in the world are cold, dead places, cut from stone that has never known fire. Yours are not. Yours have veins of molten rock and hearts of flame, and the shafts grow hotter the deeper they are driven, and your family drives them deeper than anyone alive. The descent is a long throat of carved black glass, and with every level the heat presses harder until the rock at your shoulder is too hot to touch and the air sears the inside of your nose. Men do not work down here so much as endure down here, briefly, until they stop. The slaves came from 100 nations. You can still tell some of them apart by the cut of their faces. Giscari with their dense dark hair, Roynar with their olive skin, men from cities your grandfather's dragons reduced to ash and salt. When the Freehold makes war, it takes thousands of them. When the Freehold is at peace, it breeds more. A slave costs less than the gold he is sent to claw out of the rock, and the masters of the Freehold have always reckoned red gold and silver more precious than any life that bleeds for them. The worst of them are sent down to die in the red darkness. You watch such a line descend now, roped neck to neck, into heat that would steal the breath from your chest. An overseer meets your father at the shaft's mouth, himself a slave, collared, given just enough power to be despised by his own kind.
The one who ran.
The overseer says.
We found him at the third gallery. He'd torn his own collar trying.
And the ones who watched him run?
The overseer doesn't answer. He doesn't need to. A Giscari, old enough that the heat should already have killed him, lifts his head as you pass. He does not beg. That is what you remember afterward, that he does not beg.
Your fireworms came up again last night, little lord,
he says in broken high Valyrian.
Further than they have ever come. The deep men are saying the mountain is hungry.
He almost smiles.
Even the gold is afraid of you now.
Your father lifts 2 fingers. That is all. And the air in the shaft seems to thicken, to bend the way heat bends a far horizon. Because every spell the Freehold ever cast was paid for in blood or in fire, and your family has always had a great deal of both. The slaves go still. Not because they choose to, because something older than choice settles over them and presses them down into themselves. The Giscari's mouth works, but no more words come. This is the magic the songs leave out. Slave revolts were common in these mines. They were also brief. The Valyrians were strong in sorcery, and a people strong in sorcery do not need chains to hold a man. They need only make the man believe the chains are inside him. You feel it work, and the worst part, the part you will not admit to yourself until you are much older, is that some small, proud thing in you is glad it works. You are 14. You have no dragon. And down here, watching your father quiet 100 men with 2 raised fingers, you understand for the first time precisely how much you have to lose if your own blood proves too thin to bind a beast. What happens, you wonder, to a Moraenar who cannot? You decide not to ask. He takes you up then to the pits, and this is where you might have expected to belong, and where, in truth, you do not yet. The hatchery is its own world. Egg wardens turn the great leathery eggs in beds of embers, reading the heat cycles by touch, the way a midwife reads a pulse. Acolytes chant the soot signs, and everywhere, the soot singers, with their low drums, setting the rhythm of a dragon's breath. Because a colossus that breathes wrong can crack its own ribs in its sleep, and a dragon the size of a hall does not so much wake as arrive. You stop before a clutch of eggs darker than the stone around them.
That one is yours, if it wakes to you,
says the old egg warden at your shoulder.
And it is not. The egg chooses. You may sit before it every night for 10 years and feel nothing, and then it cools in your hands and you are nothing too.
She says it without cruelty. That is somehow worse.
Your brother sat before 3. The third one never warmed. Then he stopped coming.
She looks at you sidelong.
You know what they say became of him.
You do. Everyone in the hall knows. But before you can answer, the floor of the pit groans, and the eggs are forgotten, because your sister has come for her dragon. Scion Morinar is everything you are not yet. She passed her bonding trial at 17, and she rides Valyrax, an obsidian colossus, the color of a drowned moon, a wall breaker bred from the line your house has refined since before Old Gis was salted into nothing. When Valyrax wakes, the soot singers gather and beat their drums until the rhythm finds him, and the great dark shape in the dark unfolds, and the whole quarter learns again why other families speak your name carefully. Scion finds you at the rail. She can smell the mine on you.
You went below,
she says. It isn't a question.
Did father do the thing with his hand?
You nod. She doesn't smile.
Everyone thinks the dragons are the magic,
she says.
The dragons are the easy part. You bond a beast, you ride it, You burn what needs burning, and the world calls you a god. The hard magic is the part you saw down there, the part that costs you something every single time.
She presses 2 fingers to her own breastbone.
Father pays it. I pay it. You will pay it too. And the day you stop feeling the cost is the day you've become the thing the slaves pray to die away from.
Behind her, Valyrax exhales, and the heat of it rolls over you both like a tide.
There's a glass candle in the high tower,
She says, quieter now.
Father stares into it some nights. You can see across mountains with one, across seas. You can step into a sleeping man's dreams and leave a thing there that wakes him screaming 1,000 leagues away. He's been climbing the tower every night for a moon. He won't say what he's looking at.
You ask the only question that matters. What has he been looking at? She holds your eyes a moment too long.
Go and see.
She says. So you climb. The high tower is the oldest part of the hall, and the glass candle sits at the top of it on a pillar of black stone, a single shard of obsidian, taller than a man, and it is burning, not with flame, with a light that throws no heat and casts no honest shadow, a light that hurts to look at and is impossible to look away from. The sorcerers of the Freehold made these in the days when the magic ran strongest, and through one a man might see a battle on the far side of the world, or walk uninvited through another man's dreams. Your father stands before it, and he does not turn.
Do you know why we dig deeper than the others?
He says.
Valyria thinks we are greedy. Ramion thinks we are mad. They are wrong. We dig deeper because we are not afraid of the fire.
He lays a hand flat against the burning glass, and it does not burn him.
The fire made the dragons. The fire made us. A house this old, this strong, does not fear the thing that birthed it. It is owed by it.
You look into the candle. You should not have. You see the deep galleries, further down than any slave has ever been sent. You see the rock there glowing, not red but white, the way iron glows just before it runs. You see seams that were solid in your grandfather's day standing open like wounds. And you see, beneath all of it, in the place your family has spent 1,000 years convincing itself it owns, something vast turning over in its sleep, the way a sleeper turns when he is nearly awake. What is that? You whisper.
That
Says your father.
is ours.
And for the first time in your life, you're not certain he is right. He does not let the doubt sit. He takes you instead to the place he is proudest of, the forge. This is the other half of what House Moraenar is. You break walls with dragons, but you arm yourselves with something rarer than any beast. Valyrian steel does not come from heat alone. The forge priests fold the metal 100 times, and into every fold they speak the spells whose words your family guards more jealously than gold. And at the heart of it, always blood. A blade is quenched in it. A name is bound to it. The art is so costly and so secret that there are perhaps a few hundred such blades in all the world, and your house keeps 9. You watch a forge priest draw a blade from the dark, rippling watermarks chasing down its length, and you understand the shape of the whole bargain at last. The mines bleed slaves, so the forges may feed. The forges bleed magic, so the dragons may be armed. The dragons break the cities that fill the mines with new slaves. It is a wheel, and it is a beautiful wheel, and it has turned for 5,000 years, and your family stands at the very center of it, certain it always will.
You see it now?
Your father says, watching your face.
Good. Then you are nearly a Moraenar.
You are nearly a Morinar. You are not yet sure that is a thing you wish to be. That night there is a council, because in the Freehold there is always a council. There is no king here, no emperor, only the 40 families, dragonlords who govern the greatest power the world has ever known the way a pack of wolves governs a kill, by proximity and teeth. Your father takes his seat among them, and the talk turns, as it has turned for 2 years now, to the family that ran.
Targaryen,
One lord sneers.
a minor house, 5 dragons and a daughter who dreams. They have sold their seats here for a cold rock at the edge of the world, because a girl told them the sky would fall.
Laughter rolls around the chamber.
A house that flees a dream is a house already dead.
Your father laughs loudest of all. He always does. But you are watching the dreamers. The few of them allowed in these halls, kept like clever pets, their warnings indulged and ignored. And the dreamers are not laughing. The dreamers have gone very pale and very quiet, all at once, all at the same moment, the way a flock of birds goes silent before a hawk no man can see. And you think of your brother Eryx, who sat before 3 eggs that would not warm, and then took the one dragon that did answer him and sailed west into the sunset sea, past the edge of every map, and never sent word home. Your father struck his name from the hall and called him a coward, but Eryx is not in the mines tonight, and he is not in this chamber, laughing at men who dream. So you might think this is what Valyria was. Power with no ceiling. A family that dug where it pleased, bred whom it pleased, broke whatever cities it chose, and would never, ever fall. That is not what doomed them. Because here is what your father has been looking at in the glass candle. Here is what your sister would not say. Here is what every dreamer in the Freehold has begun to whisper at the same hour, in cities 1,000 leagues apart, in tongues that have never met. The ground has begun to hum. You have felt the floor of the deep shafts grow warmer than even your family will admit is right. You have seen the fireworms come up further than they have ever come, leaving the slaves burnt black where they stood. You have heard the colossi, beasts that have slept beside the great vents for 1,000 years, refuse now to descend into them at all. The dragons are the children of the volcanoes, and what no one in your proud, magnificent, doomed house can afford to say aloud is this: the volcanoes are about to want their children back. Your family dug the deepest mines in the world because they believed the fire was theirs, that a house strong enough to still 100 men with 2 raised fingers, strong enough to break old Gis and salt its fields with skulls, was strong enough to be chosen by the flame rather than consumed by it. That is the true magic of House Moraenar. Not the blood spells, not the colossi, not the 9 blades or the glass candle or the wheel that has turned for 5,000 years. The certainty. The unshakable, inherited, beautiful certainty that the fire which made you could never be the fire that ends you. And so you will go back down the tower tonight. You will bow again to the skull of a dragon that died once already. You will sit before an egg that may never warm to you, in a house that mocks the only people trying to save it, and you will feel that small, proud gladness every time the sorcery works, right up until the morning it does not matter at all, because the family that dug the deepest will be the first the earth remembers. 5 years. The ground is already counting, and on the last morning, the dragons will roar one final time. And for the first time in your life, you will not be able to tell the difference between the roar that greets the dawn and the roar that means everything beneath your feet has gone wrong. You will not have the time to learn. I'm your maester at the Black Dread. What do you think about this view?